I've been asked the question a number of times, and we keep hearing it raised by the current United States president whether or not a third term can be served. The 22nd Amendment to the United States Constitution, which was ratified by the states in 1951 after former President Franklin Delano Roosevelt was elected 4 times, provides in full no person shall be elected to the office of the president more than twice, and no person who has held the office of president or acted as president for more than 2 years of a term to which some other person was elected president shall be elected to the office of president more than once. The argument of Trump and his supporters appears to hinge on a single word, elected, in Amendment 22. Their argument is basically if he were elected as vice president, he could serve upon the removal, death, resignation, or inability of the president to serve. That would allow him to serve a third or more terms in our country's highest office. The federal Constitution in Article 2, Section 1 says in part, in case of the removal of the president from office or of his death, resignation, or inability to discharge the powers and duties of the said office, the same shall devolve on the vice president. So Trump and his supporters would argue that he could be elected vice president along with President Vance, for example, and then take over the office of the presidency after Vance were to step down or be removed. And maybe this is why Trump has not endorsed Vance as his heir apparent. Would such a scenario violate the spirit of the 22nd Amendment? Of course it would. Would it violate the terms of the 22nd Amendment? Well, that answer would be left to the current United States Supreme Court, which has already granted this president broad immunity from liability for allegedly official acts. So who knows how they may rule on such a case? Now, could this happen in California with the office of the governor? Fortunately, no. By way of contrast, California's Constitution, Article 5, Section 2, says in part, no governor may serve more than 2 terms. With each term being set at 4 years, no one could serve as California governor for more than 8 years under the state constitution. Yes, Jerry Brown did so, but that's because the term limits law came into effect after he had already served 2 terms in office.